All right, so hello and welcome to the review of the British Grand Prix 2019. We'll be going over the race results and discussing each and every driver's race as we go on. So, Ben, was Lewis Hamilton lucky to pick up the win yesterday?
Slightly. I mean, it was actually, it was a brilliant race. Obviously, him and Valtteri when they got off the line, going wheel to wheel, really exciting stuff to watch. And you could make the case either way. You can make the case that he would have overtaken him anyway, or would have had the chance to. We'll never know, but certainly, yeah, the safety car played a lot of quite a big role in him getting that win. You've got to say.
Yeah. And now, Ronald, coming to you. So, do you think that he was lucky, or do you echo Ben's comment?
Well, I think the only luck he got was the safety car bit in which he kind of got the lead of the race because of that. Otherwise, what Ben said that he would have overtaken him anyway, and I think that's true. I mean, you saw the blistering pace he had, and the fact that he had set the fastest lap on the final lap of the race with worn tires and that on two on the medium tires is a testament to that. So I think that's the only luck he got this in the race.
Yeah, and I think you've got to remember as well that the reason the safety car worked out so well for him is because he extended his first stint as well. He made those tyres go longer, so that was also he sort of kind of helped towards getting his own luck as well.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, not much to say about Lewis Hamilton's race, to be honest, because he was solid as ever. And I'm actually running out of superlatives to describe his performance, as I said in one of the previous podcasts as well. That you run out of objectives after a point in time discussing Lewis Hamilton, don't you, Ben?
Oh, I mean, I could talk about Lewis Hamilton all day if you want. But yeah, no, as you say, another obviously step towards number six. Number six British Grand Prix wins, number six World Championships, quite possibly very soon. Yeah, he doesn't seem any sign of him being a real deal anytime soon.
Yeah. So coming in at P2 was Valtteri Bottas, his teammate. So, do you think that the championship's over now, or do you think Valtteri still has a chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still a long way to go, really. I mean, obviously Hamilton is looking very good. I feel like he's the stronger driver to Valtteri. Yeah, it's one of them ones where I feel like it's a matter of time. I feel like obviously Valtteri's gonna over the course of the remaining 11 races, Valtteri will finish ahead of Hamilton in some. Obviously, yeah, Hamilton might have a bit of bad luck, but yeah, you feel like it's going to be very difficult. I can't. I feel like reliability would have to step in because I can't see Valtteri raising his game to a level where he would consistently beat Hamilton and close up this gap he's already got and then extend it. But like other forces would have to come into factor. And I'm not sure Hamilton's car is going to break down 3 or 4 times between now and the end of the season.
Yeah. Right. So, number nil. What did you think about Max Verstappen versus Charles Leclerc?
I mean, that was the bit of the race that was exciting, isn't it? I mean, you had these two young guns going out for the third place, apparently, in the opening half of the race for numerous laps. And even when he got past Max after the pit stop and the scrap they had, even then was quite exciting to see.
Yeah, Ben, so what did you think about that scrap?
Yeah, that was brilliant. Obviously, continuing on from the last race, wasn't it? Going wheel to wheel, not giving each other any kind of space. Yeah, no, it was really, really great to watch and see. It's one of those battles where you start to see the future because already you know that these two, in about 5 or so years' time, 5-10 years' time, these two will be fighting for world championships, and the rivalry starting early now. You can see, and it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, the way Leclerc went about driving in the last race in Silverstone, you kind of got to see a new ruthless side to him, which you did not see previously in its entirety. And I mean, I completely saw a different side of Leclerc yesterday because he wasn't giving Max an inch. I mean, what do you have to say about that, Ben? Because I think that he drove in a different style yesterday. More aggressive.
I feel like, yeah, you're right. I feel like Austria opened his eyes a little bit. I feel like what Max was able to do to Austria, the way he was able to get past. I feel like that kind of woke him up a little bit. That kind of made him realize, actually, right, this is how I need to go about it now, because he hasn't really had that close will to wheel action before the front. He now knows what Max is all about, and he knows what he needs to bring to beat him. And I thought, yeah, he drove a great race. Let down a bit by the strategy as usual, but ended up on the podium, and that overtake as well on Gasly, going around the outside of the village.
Mm-hmm.
Was one of my favourite overtakes of the season.
Yeah, I was about to mention that when we come to Pierre. Yeah, we are going to come to Pierre because this is the first time in a long time that a teammate has beaten Max Verstappen at the finish. So, Gasly came in P4, so his best result of the season. And for the first time, I feel this season that we actually felt that he was in Red Bull and not in a Toro Rosso. What do you have to say, Ben?
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like Gasly had a great race, didn't he? He was piling the pressure on all cars. One of them, at the start of the race, he was right on the back of Vettel. He really looked like at home in that Red Bull car. Held off Leclerc for a long time. So yeah, a bit unlucky to have to let him by. But to be overtaken by Leclerc, he had to be gotten by one of the moves of the season. So it was pleasing to see from Gasly. We've been waiting all season for this, and that's got to be a confidence boost going forward.
Yes. Now, Nudel, what do you think about Gasly?
Well, this is finally a race to talk about for Gasly, isn't it? I mean, his performance was brilliant after having such a lackluster season so far, and the battles he had, and while it was what he did during the race, his performance was something to applaud for.
Yeah, I mean, you finally got to see Gasly, and he finally got some screen time.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and he was. What was great to see was he was holding off Leclerc for Max to increase the gap, and Leclerc had to get the overtake of the season to get by, and Red Bull finally got to use their second car to an advantage. What do you think about that, Ben? Red Bull finally getting to use the second car.
Yeah, no, it was great to see, wasn't it? Pierre Gasly finally arrived. The way he was, right from the line. The way he was pressurising Vettel. Making it not comfortable for him. The way that he defended from Leclerc for so long, and he was right in the battle with the Ferraris. And as you say, he had to be overtaken by one of the moves of the season from Leclerc as well. So yeah, it's one of those races where you've been waiting all season for it. It's good to see from him, and then obviously really important for Red Bull as well. A lot of work to do the constructors. Maybe it's going to be too much because it's already been such a bad start to the season, but it's something for Pierre to kind of take confidence from, isn't it? And hopefully produce more results like this.
I think we all wanted this performance from Gasly to have come a few races sooner. I mean, 3-4 races back. He had quite a few races to get acclimatized to, and we all want him to see him perform better at this level. But still, better late than never that he had this performance at this race.
Yeah, indeed. So with that, we come to Sebastian Vettel. We have to discuss him, right? And Max Verstappen ended up fifth, but probably missed out on a podium because of that shunt from Vettel getting rear-ended. So Ben, what is your opinion on the crash, and do you think that the penalty was fair, or do you think he deserved a harsher penalty?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult, wasn't it? Because at the end of the day, he was all the way down in 15th, and there was no penalty really that would have meant, because he wasn't going to get some points anyway. So the penalty wasn't overly necessary in the sense that it wasn't going to affect his race really, and it would have been. I think the incident is clearly his fault, but I think it would have been a little harsh to give him a grid penalty or something. So yeah, the penalty in the end didn't really make much of a difference. I think it just meant that the forced into that he overtook. Maybe I think he got back behind him again with the penalty, but definitely the penalty was completely fair in my opinion. It's just where you just kind of completely misjudged what Max Verstappen was going to do. Max Verstappen was braking for the corner.
Yeah, and Navnil, so has this crash gotten us talking about Vettel's retirement?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say that this the penalty seemed a mere formality because he were nowhere near the points, but they had to eventually follow the rules and give him something. Otherwise, the media would be talking about it. And so, coming back to your question, I think there's still something left, and he hasn't lost all hope yet. I don't think it's time for us to discuss about his retirement. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, Ben, do you think we can talk about his retirement yet?
Um, Probably not. I mean, he likes to bring it up, doesn't he? Whenever he gets like dodgy, in his opinion, dodgy stewarding decisions, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something about this, this new era of car. He's not really ever seemed happy in it. It seems like these new cars, new drivers are coming along, and they're kind of getting the better of him. You feel like his day is gone. Whether he's going to decide to call it a day or whether he's just going to carry on, but I feel like Vettel's day is one of the greats in the fields. I think they're gone.
Did we lose you again, Ben?
I just stopped talking.
We'll keep that. So we've already discussed the top 3 teams and the 6 drivers that come with it. So we'll come to the midfield now, and number nil is the only one who got his prediction right. Carlos Sainz in 6th place. Probably benefited a little from the safety car, and yeah, a great race from him starting 13th. So what do you think about Sainz's race, Ben?
Yeah, Sainz had another good weekend, didn't he? Continues to be best in the rest, plugging away at that. He got himself a 6th place with everything that went on. Yeah, but very impressive. Obviously, working his way up from 13th from the grid as well, which is very similar to what he's done a lot of times this season. We did in the last race in Austria as well, started 19th. Yeah. So we've seen Carlos's ability to kind of charge for the field and put off overtakes. So yeah, it's another good result.
Yeah, so number nil, what did you think about the battle between Carlos Sainz and Ricciardo?
Well, to be honest, there's nothing much to say about that. It was just a fair scrap between them, as it happens in these races. So, what else can you say?
Yeah, you can't really say much, can you? But then, yeah, it was good to see Renault and P7 fighting with the McLaren all the way. So Kimi Raikkonen coming in P8. What did you think about him, Ben? Solid race, starting. I think he started 12th.
Yeah, 12th. Yeah, solid race. Obviously, but like Kimi is holding that Alpha team together. I don't think you can underestimate how much he means to that team. So I feel like you see what Giovinazzi's bringing. He's only got 1 point scoring finish so far, but Kimi Raikkonen has been consistently in the points all season. He's always very often there or thereabouts. Very few off weekends. They're 6th in the championship as well, or basically all off Kimi's points. It's like he easily could have left F1 as we all expected he was going to. They could have brought in a less experienced driver, and then Alfa Romeo would be they'd be like down there with the Haas or something. They'd be right down there in the championship. I feel like, but yeah, Kimi Raikkonen, the way his knowledge of setting up a car, everything he brings to the team, his driving ability is so crucial to that Alpha team. And yeah, so obviously another showing against the race yesterday, another 8th place, another great 4 points.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the table, Alfa Romeo has 26 points, 25 of them belong to Kimi Raikkonen. So, Navranil, what did you think about Kimi's contribution so far to the Alpha team as a whole and his races?
Well, Ben said it all, didn't he? He's carrying the whole team around. I mean, Giovinazzi is not there at the moment. He's not giving the performances everyone's expecting of him. And Raikkonen's really, all the points have been scored through him. And really, what else can you expect? He is the most senior driver in the team. And really, everyone must be looking at him from the beginning of the season. And that's the way it's going at the moment. Let's see what happens, how much Giovinazzi can deliver in the future races.
Yeah, cool. So that brings us to the man who finished P9, the man who started 17th on the grid, and like Sainz in Austria, he did not get any screen time, and we did not get to see any of the action. Daniel Kvyat, solid as ever. What do you think about his race, Ben?
Yeah,
17th to 9th.
So one for you, isn't it? I know you're a big Danny fan. Get Danny back at Red Bull. Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, when we're talking about 8th, 9th, and 10th, I feel like we have to mention Albon in the fact that I feel like Toro Rosso really kind of let him down with the strategy call. The way they kind of left him out on the mediums, didn't put him in the safety car, and then it almost seemed like they were talking about it on the coverage. They didn't seem to tell him that he was going to the end on the mediums. So like he did 15 laps and then got told he was going to the end, and then he quite rightly went back and he was like, well, you could have told me that, then I would have saved my tyres. And then obviously he couldn't, because he hadn't been saving his tyres, so he couldn't make them last that duration of time. And he in the end he lost so much time because his tyres were just off the cliff.
Yeah, I mean, post race, I think we got to know something, that there was something wrong with the turbocharger in this car, and like the statement said that if he would have pitted again, the entire pit crew
No,
would
it
have
was
gotten
actually
electrocuted.
an electric voltage problem in Albon's car. So the Honda engineer suggested that pitting again would have been resulted in a failure, and that's why they couldn't afford to pit Albon during the safety car.
Yeah. So that is the problem. So you can't really blame anybody for that. But then, yeah, unfortunate as well. So yeah, I mean, we started by talking about Daniel Kvyat and then went on to his teammate pretty smoothly. But then the man who grabbed the final point of the evening was Nico Hülkenberg. Looking unlikely at one point, he slowed down and seemed like he was going out of the race, but then recovered well. What do you think about Nico's race, Namranil?
Well, a double points finish for Renault and Hülkenberg, Ricciardo both in the points. There must be some proud achievement for the team, having had a few disastrous races in the past 3-4 races. And so, yeah, good performance from Hülkenberg and Ricciardo.
So, Ben, do you think that Hülkenberg has dropped off a little from Ricciardo's level? Because we really expected them to go toe-to-toe, but then over the last few races, I think Ricciardo has quite fairly beaten him in a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure whether it's Nico going down or is Ricciardo going up. So like, we know that Nico's always like a very solid driver, but we thought it would be a great pairing. But I feel like Daniel Ricciardo has that something a little bit extra, and he's obviously starting to show that. So Nico's, Nico's yet to show that he's got that extra level we can go to. Whereas obviously we're seeing Daniel winning races and scoring podiums and pulling off these outrageous overtakes. So maybe that's more. I personally say maybe it's more Daniel, coming to the party more, because I feel like he didn't start the season in the best form, or the worst possible start. He crashed himself out in Australia, and it's taken a long time to kind of find the form in his new team. But which also you can't underestimate, the joining a new team, that whole factor, settling into a new car, new mechanics and everything. So I feel like
we can see that by Gasly.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're a good way into the season. I feel like Ricciardo's come into his own a lot now.
Well, one point that can be cited to your question, ARITRA, is that Hülkenberg is nearing the end of his term this year. So, and he hasn't had any contract negotiations with his current team or any other team per se for that reason. So I think these things are going in his head and the situation in which he finds himself at the end of the year. So I think that might be a reason for his lack of performance, like you said, ARITRA. And so maybe that's one of the reasons why Hülkenberg is not being able to deliver, and Ricciardo is on the kind of a price line.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we are coming near silly season, and we will start with our silly season content soon. But then, so that brings us to
anytime soon.
So that brings us to the people who finished the race but then did not score any points. And finishers and non-point scorers, we have to start with Williams. I mean, at the start of the race, if anybody would have told both of you that both the Williams will be beating one of the Ferraris, what would your reaction have been, and what do you feel about the Williams beating the Ferrari? Ben first.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have believed you. It was what race Williams. George Russell. I mean, I'll point out that I predicted him to beat them both. The Haas kind of took care of that themselves, but still beat them. It was a great race. I mean, obviously Russell home Grand Prix, best result in F1 so far. Another solid weekend for them, and again, yet another race. Both cars have come home.
Yeah, they haven't had a DNF. I'm surprised. Maybe with the pace, they'll have the DNFs coming as well. Namranil, what do you think about Williams boys racing?
Massive performance from Williams, isn't it? Beating Haas's, beating one of the Ferraris. Really, the answer to your question would have been, I don't believe you for one single second. I mean, is that possible in the modern world?
So that's my answer. I mean, I mean, just to point out, they beat one of the Racing Points as well.
Oh
Perez.
yes, that too.
Yeah, so I mean, Perez was sort of unlucky in the way his race unfolded with getting the damage from Nico Hulkenberg, but then it was more of his own fault from what I saw. And Lance Stroll did gain some places, but then yeah, finished pretty much outside the points and had no chances. So, what do you think about Ben? What do you think about Racing Points race? I mean, considering that they were going to donate a certain amount of money for each place that they gain during the race, and they could have made much more money, but then they ended up making a little bit less.
Yeah, it was looking good for Perez, wasn't it? For quite a while, he looked like he might be sneaking into those points positions, and I certainly think, we saw the issues that Lando and Albon had towards the end of the race, so I think Perez was in a good spot to be right in and around that group that was picking up those points. But obviously, yeah, he has that issue with Hulkenberg, doesn't he? I feel like, uh, yeah, I feel like he had those because of those issues with Hulkenberg, he kind of lost out quite badly, didn't he? Yeah, no one's fault really. If anyone's, more so Perez, but obviously I'm happy the stewards didn't do anything about it. And they, Lance Stroll, he's one of these drivers, like, he's very difficult to actually talk about during the races because he qualifies him so badly every time. Always out in Q1, and then he kind of just, gets himself up from 18th to like 13th, 14th. And then we always sit here and say, well, if he started further up, maybe he could have scored points. And it's just same old every weekend with Stroll. Always makes up places in the race, but because he's coming from so low down, it's
it's a question that everybody is demanding answers to, I guess, including Lawrence Stroll as well. Yeah. So coming to Namranil, what do you think about the Haas boys?
Well, that was just disaster race, isn't it, for them? Colliding on the opening lap. I don't think it was totally Grosjean's fault. I mean, it was a racing incident. You can put it down to that. But
yeah, it was Ericsson's fault.
Nostalgia, isn't it, for Roman? But again, yeah, disastrous race. Magnussen pitting on the opening lap, then having to retire on lap 3, and then 3 laps forward, you get another of the Haas drivers retiring. So yeah, you can imagine the state of mind Gunther Steiner is in. I mean, he must be livid, absolutely livid in his mind. And there had been some discussions after the race, not a very long one. I mean, he said, how much time can you possibly take to have a discussion after this incident? So that's it, a pretty horrible race. I don't know how Gunther Steiner will be able to manage his drivers after this.
Okay, Ben, so do you think that there's light at the end of the tunnel for Haas?
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? They're really struggling at the moment. I feel it's interesting how you say it's a racing incident, and I feel like I don't know if that's acceptable in this situation because, like, at the end of the day, it's like they're teammates, and it's the first lap, or like, just for them two drivers to hit each other in that way when they're in that situation. They were in the situation they're in. They're low down the field. They're really against the wall. They're really struggling at the minute as a team. They may or may not be losing their main sponsor. No one knows. But they've had such miserable weekends on the trot, like 3 or 4 in a row, and then to hit each other like that on the first, to not give each other the space. I think Gunther Steiner would be absolutely fuming, and I would not have wanted to have been the two of them in their post race meeting. I'd absolutely furious with them, and it'd have every right to be. And it's another disastrous weekend for the team, and yeah, not really sure where the team go from here.
Yeah. Okay. So Namranil, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who do you think was more angry or more livid with their drivers? Christian Horner in Baku 2018 or Gunther Steiner in Silverstone 2019?
Well, going by their natures, Christian Horner is very calm most of the times. Even in a dire situation as in Baku last year, you didn't see him swearing and all, cursing. Although he might have done that in the intra-team meetings, we don't know about that. But he was definitely a calm guy in the press. But as you have seen from the Drive to Survive season of F1, you know how Gunther Steiner will react to that, and so the natural answer should be Steiner.
Okay. So Ben, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Although I've got to say, I'd love to see a angry Christian Horner behind closed doors. I bet he's the kind of guy that comes across well in the media, but I reckon he'd go absolutely mental when the cameras aren't on. You probably never see it, but I reckon he's got a nasty streak in him when the cameras are off.
Yeah, I mean, that's what most of the guys are like, aren't they? Everyone who maintains a sort of nice image, they've got a ruthless side to them as well, like Leclerc's driving and his appearance in front of the PR.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, ARITRA, can you say the same about Kimi?
Kimi is just deadpan. He's always the same. I mean, uh, wasn't him having an ice cream in Malaysia that's just a testament to that fact that he is the same no matter where he is?
Well, I guess it's the same for all Finnish drivers, isn't it? I mean, Bottas too doesn't express himself so much. Even the commentators ask them, even the presenters ask them, and he doesn't show that much emotion.
Apart from the point when he gets a pole, then he sort of, I don't know what happens to him, but then he sort of gets under the table excited.
Well, he's starting to get there slowly.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was our preview for. Sorry, that was our review. Yeah, not a preview. That was our review for Silverstone, and we will be back in a few days with the preview for Hungary or no, Germany. Yeah,
Germany actually.
Yeah. Hockenheim is the
Hockenheim.
next round, and we will be
Vettel's
back.
home race, and hope to see him not crash again like last year.
Yeah, indeed. Of all the times that you can crash, the worst time to crash would be when you're in the lead, and Vettel did that. And he hasn't really looked the same driver ever since to me. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was kind of a key turning point in that championship, wasn't it? Where you feel like Vettel, you start to question, does he have the mental capacity to actually go and win one of these things? Because there was one of a series of spins in like consecutive races or so.
Yeah.
It's when you really thought, yeah, maybe, well, maybe something's not right here with him, and yeah, not really looked right ever since.
Yeah,
I think he's 100 points off now. 100 points off the championship leader.
I mean, it's off. He's not winning this championship, no matter what.
Could you imagine if you said that at the start of the season? If I said to you, after 10 rounds, Sebastian Vettel will be 100 points behind Lewis Hamilton, you never would have believed me, especially after pre-season tests. It better be 100 points down.
Yeah, indeed. After preseason, we were looking forward to Ferrari dominating, but then unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be that way. So, Navratil, do you think that Vettel hasn't been the same driver since Germany last year? Since we're talking about Germany.
I absolutely agree with Ben. That was a major turning point for Seb last year. Okay, you might say that Belgium was a one-off. In fact, it was a one-off because they had the power in Belgium. But ever since that crash in Germany, he has been nowhere he used to be. And so let's hope what happens to him in the future races. There's not many left, and hopefully he'll be able to turn the tables around. I think it's too late for him now. There's no point of return for him or Ferrari. But yeah, let's see. Hope for the best.
Yeah, and just to mention a fact that since we're talking about Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen is still their last championship winner and their last race winner. What do you feel about that, Namradil?
It's amazing to think that, isn't it? I mean, Ferrari is such a glorious and dominant team, and it's a force to reckon with in F1 history. And the statistics show for themselves, and it's really crazy to think that Raikkonen is the only driver that their last championship winner and also the race winner.
Yeah, Ben, isn't it surprising that Leclerc or Vettel hasn't won a race since Raikkonen last one?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and they both had the chances, haven't they? I think it just shows that Ferrari just haven't made the step forward, and I think the more concerning statistic for them would be the fact that Kimi Raikkonen's still their last world champion as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's
been what,
that
11 years since that? 12 years.
2007 he won it.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, that's something. For a great team like Ferrari, that would that's good. That's gonna hurt. That's really gonna hurt. And they've had their fair share of fights as well. Just haven't been able to come out on top for a long time.
I think it's definitely down to the change in team principle, that they haven't got used to Mattia Binotto's team principle. so far. And when you're embarking on a mission of winning the championship, you cannot afford any change in your team, let alone in the top. I mean, that has worked for the teams such as McLaren and Williams. I mean, it has worked wonders for McLaren. Look where they are now and where they were in the last year. Not so much for Williams though, but at the top of the field, you can see Mercedes and Red Bull. They're operating at such a level, mainly because they are unchanged organization over the past few years. And I think Ferrari, that has been one of the main reasons in the appointment of Binotto as team principal, that they haven't really able to turn the tables around.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think about that? Because I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. 'Cause I feel like with you look at Mercedes and Red Bull, and you feel like they've got clear plans in place. Clear personnel that they trust to deliver those plans, and they've been playing for a long time, and it's worked out. You saw the way Mercedes and Red Bull kind of came from nothing, and they put their faith in all their plans, all the team personnel, and they went from average midfield runners to top teams in the sport. And then, but you feel like with Ferrari at the minute, it's very kind of short-term thinking. It's like, we've not done very well not won the championship this season. Right, next team principal. Then season after, I was not done very well. Next team principal. It's like you feel like it's very, very short-term thinking. Yeah, the disruption, the upheaval of a new team principal, if all the changes that come with it, and all the pressure on the new guy as well. Because to work in an environment like Ferrari, where you know that if you have a bad season, potentially you're gone. There's history of it happening before, so you've got very little job security. So, yeah, the whole environment isn't quite right at Ferrari. You feel like it's not as calm. There's not the clear plan and trusting of that plan like there is at Mercedes and Red Bull and other teams down the grid as well. But those two in particular, you have to point out the differences because they're the ones that are directly fighting at the minute.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the review for Silverstone. And as I said, we will be back in a few days with the preview for Germany. Yes, I got it right. Yeah, Hockenheim, Germany. We'll be
Thank
back
God
in a
you
few
got
days.
that right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be seeing you in a few days again, and hopefully we'll be having Amranil again with us.
I hope so to be there in the next podcast.
Yeah, right. So we'll have you there. Don't worry. You're not getting fired just yet. So as I said, we'll be back in a few days and see you in a few days.